Hey everybody, welcome to Fallout Equestria, the first of about 4 videos that I'll be doing today and tomorrow. This one goes up today. I might upload 2 tonight, or maybe I'll just upload 1. And leave the second one for you guys tomorrow, you know, 1 a day sort of thing. Don't know, we'll see how I feel. I'm not feeling too good right now. Anyways, whatever.
Ch said, standing next to me again. I was so soaked by the rain now that the discomfort from the puddle earlier had been forgotten. You look lost in thought so deep you could be in a memory orb.
She might be.
I grimaced.
She could be.
I reached into my saddlebags and floated out the Ditsuju orb, passing it to Ch. I want you to have this, I told her. You've been my voice in the darkness more than once. If things ever get too bleak for you to find your way to hope, watch this. Let her be your guide back.
Not Ditsy
Ch
do.
cocked her head curiously. With half-lidded eyes, she whispered, I won't need it. You are my guide. But she slipped a telekinetic blanket of her own around the gift, taking it away. I would fight to make that bright and innocent past our future once again, I said, turning to her. Even if it means dashing myself against the evil and cruelty of this wasteland until there's nothing left of me. Like the ponies who cracked and shattered their hooves pounding at the sealed door of Stable 2, I would persevere, making Equestria a better place one battle at a time, until there's nothing left for me to give. And then,
You really want to be like them? They kind of
I'll
failed
float my
to
dying
get
body
in.
right down the throat of darkness and make it choke on me. Ch gave me a sad, knowing look, then leaned forward and nuzzled my cheek softly. Forcing a smile, I chuckled. Or, you know, this could all end in sunshine and rainbows. No need to get pessimistic. Ch laughed, despite the tears that had begun to well in her eyes. Or maybe that was just the rain. Speaking of orbs, I said, changing the subject. Ch blinked in the rain and smiled wanly. Got it. If they want to see your memories in order to get to know you, then they need to have as much context as possible. So anyone viewing them is required to watch them in order, starting with the first. Perfect, I replied, now wearing a more genuine smile. Although, I'd prefer we kept orb number 8 to ourselves, Ch added, and for the first time, I saw her blush.
Oh, you like teasing, but you don't like them watching.
But at the time I figured that denying them one of the orbs would undermine the notion that I have nothing to hide from them. Sadly, I still think so. Ch nodded. Indeed it would. Her gaze shied off to the side. Maybe I can persuade them it isn't necessary. At least after the first pony sees it. Knowing what she could do to me, I doubted any pony would pass up the opportunity to experience that. The thought of people enjoying Ch's attentions meant only for me, as me, felt slimy. It was a violation that made me sick inside. This was not a sacrifice I wanted to make, but knowing how much good the secrets locked away inside the hidden chambers of Pony Tower could do for all of Equestria, the pony in my heart demanded it. Can't I ask why? Ch questioned. I blinked. She had to know why I was willing to let the Twilight Society into my memories. Seeing my confusion, she clarified. Oh, I caught that smile. You are planning something. Why the instructions if it's not just context? Oh. I bit back a snicker. Well, it's just that those memories cover, what, 2 days? And it takes as long to view a memory as the events themselves. And unlike when I live them, those ponies will have to take breaks. Stop, eat, sleep, do whatever work those ponies do. I shrugged. I figure if we're lucky, by the time they get to more telling orbs, everything will all be over. And if not, well, at least I'll have forced the whole bunch of hoity-toity ponies in Pony Tower to eat zebra cooking and like it.
Yeah,
broke into a laugh. The mare threw her arms around me, hugging me so fiercely we both fell into the small lake that had formed on the roof. I splashed her. She splashed back. The two of us lay there in the cold, pooling water, kicking waves and sprays at each other until I could swear we were wetter than the rain was.
I'm getting images of Metal Gear Solid 5 when you go back to base with Quiet and it's raining and you just have that adorable fucking puddle fight.
Give up? she squealed. Absolutely not.
Where's
My
the slow
finishing
motion?
move was to telekinetically grasp about a barrelful of the water, hovering it over her head. I pointed up with a hoof and got a most delightful squeak out of her before dropping the deluge onto my homage. Okay, okay, I'll give up, she cried out. Slowly, we both got to our hooves. Homage was shivering, dripping, and her blue hair hanging straight down like a wet curtain. She was impossibly beautiful right then.
I know that damn image.
Ready to go? Velvet's voice called out kindly from the Sky Bandit. I turned to see that Calamity had finished attaching the mounting on the passenger wagon's roof and was already harnessing himself to the front. I looked back to Homage. I've got to go. I smiled. But you'll never be far. I'll be tuned in, listening to your message of hope. I gave her horn a soft kiss. DJ Pony. The somber mood of our former conversation seeped back, making my sopping coat feel all the chillier. Promise me you'll come back. She didn't even need to ask. I pinky pie swear.
It's not like there's any, like, fucking
The Sky Bandit cut
consequences
through
if
the
you
heavy
break that
mid-afternoon
now.
downpour.
Pinky's
Calamity
dead.
was getting a miserable drenching, but he had hoof-waved off Velvet Remedy's offer of a protective shield, claiming he was already as wet as he was going to get after attaching the new roof mounting. The claim was half bravado and half being just plain wrong. Now, while he was saying nothing, I could tell he was regretting it. Not that any of the rest of us weren't dripping wet. The passenger wagon with its broken windows provided only cursory protection from the elements. Soon, all the benches were soaked and the metal floor ran with rivulets of water. The tarps covering our gear kept our supplies partially dry, but water was seeping underneath to soak the bottoms of packs and bags. Firelight kept giving us miserable mewling hoots. Velvet Remedy had tried using her cleaning spell to dry us over and over, but it had been an uphill
you're gonna
battle,
run out of
and
magical
after an
power
hour she gave up.
eventually.
Velvet and I were huddled together on some benches in the back of the passenger wagon. Velvet's horn glowed and
This seems like something you should have thought about while you were still at 10.7. Like, about the windows, couldn't you, like, put those drying tarps instead of over the supplies, like, around the over the windows? Stop the rain from coming in? I mean, as a bit probably would, like, get through the, like, little crack on the top, but no, fuck.
a soft melody seemed to pour out of it. More like that? She asked me. All I could do was nod, feeling a little stunned. Did you just come up with that right now? I asked timidly, amazed once again by how easily she could create entirely new music and have it be so utterly beautiful. Well, yes, but I've had years of practice, Velvet Remedy admitted. And it is one of my natural talents. Giving me a motherly look, she advised. Before I can create the music for your song, little Pip, you should really come up with some lyrics. At least enough for me to know the rhythm and the meter you wish to use. I gave a deep sigh. The idea had sounded so good in my heart last night, and so easy in my head this morning. I wanted to create a song that expressed my feelings for Homage. Not something sappy, but an honest, earnest outpouring of my heart.
So
Something
sappy.
that I could have Velvet Remedy perform the next time we went to Ten Pony Tower, as a special gift to
Extra
the disc
sappy,
jockey
then.
pony who had let me fall in love with her. With Velvet Remedy on my side, I had thought I could have something at least halfway decent by the time we reached Stable 29. But I'm no good at lyrics. Coming up with words is just... I sighed. It's really hard.
Need that charisma
Let me
stat.
help, Velvet suggested, listening to what I had so far and politely trying not to wince. Within a few hours, Velvet and I had put together a few passable lines, stringing them together into what could be a full verse. Or the two halves of two different verses. I wasn't quite sure yet. In the warmth of your embrace I found acceptance, and I know our moments through all my adversities.
Love song's always the cheesiest
In my darkest
shit.
hour will save and anchor me, and I will kiss the orb that holds these memories. Velvet Remedy sang the lyrics experimentally, smiling at how they came off her tongue this time. Much better.
Again, this would be so much better reading it instead of having to hear his attempts.
Although I still think some of your other phrases are a little too specific. I shook my head. This is from me to her. It's personal. It should be specific. I knew I was being stubborn in the face of wisdom, but it was my song, and I rather liked the line, "I've been crushed under the train car of loneliness."
That's
Velvet Remedy
literal,
gave me a
though!
patient and charmingly understanding smile, and I knew she would manage to talk me into changing the line before the night was over. The storm continued to escalate, the winds blowing the rain sideways and tearing at Calamity hard enough that we were stopping every hour to give him rest. Even flying, our progress had become achingly slow as Calamity continuously fought to correct our course as the wind blew us off path. I hated seeing him work so hard for us. The third time we landed, we were able to take shelter in the overhang of the remnants of a recharging station somewhere in the Holocaust-blasted remains of a small business community which had once sprawled between Manhattan and Fetlock. I spotted the mostly intact storeroom in the otherwise collapsed building. On the other door was a faded and stained poster of a genial Twilight Sparkle. "Knowledge is magic," insisted the words above her friendly smile. In the smaller font beneath, "The Ministry of Arcane Sciences is looking for a few bright minds. Together, we will save Equestria." Equally ancient graffiti scrawled across the poster. Partial words, something along the lines of "Fight the Ministry," drove me to imagine the poster had been moved, the rest of the rebellious words left behind on a wall somewhere. Calamity unhitched himself and trotted into the supply room to give a good shake while the rest of us started digging through our supplies for the boxes of Pony Joe's donut holes and cans of sweet potatoes which would be our dinner.
So Pony Joe became a fucking
I'd overcome my squeamishness
corporation.
for eating 200-year-old food, but I still planned to give the donut holes a pass. Calamity returned as Pyrelight was giving the cans a warming, and slightly radioactive, breath bath. He was looking less soaked and, unsurprisingly, more laden with scavenged goods. "I'm gonna go swap out the spark batteries while we're just sitting around here," Calamity announced as Velvet Remedy magically cleaned away the rest of the water from his fur and feathers. "I don't want us losing them in the middle of this storm." Velvet Remedy gasped.
"Don't you dare. You've already worked hard enough today, and now you're finally dry. You will not immediately go wallowing around in the mud under this wagon. You rest.
But why
One of
not?
us will change them out for you."
By necessity, that meant me, but I was more than happy to be volunteered. "Well," Calamity looked thankful for the offer and the chance to rest his sore and aching wings. "I figure maybe we ought to hunker down for a bit till the storm loses some of its range."
Okay, yeah, Lil Pip
We all
should know
readily
how to, like,
agreed.
change spark
I
batteries.
knew from experience that rain in the equestrian wasteland could last for several days, but I hoped the worst part would pass within a few hours. The burning white flash of nearby lightning turned the world into stark light and black shadow. Calamity looked over his shoulder and said something more, but his words were drowned out by a pealing roar of thunder that shook bits of debris from the cracks in the overhang. Minutes later, I squirmed underneath the Sky Bandit. The slosh sliding under my body wasn't exactly mud, but a gritty mixture of water and ashes. I tried not to think of who I might have
I
been
just
laying
imagine
in.
they're people ashes.
Surely most of the ash was from incinerated buildings, right?
Oh.
As I telekinetically removed the screws on the plate covering the spark battery array, I heard
It's
a
very
familiar
cold.
marching music leaking through the storm.
In case you're wondering why I'm constantly like this, it's actually very cold tonight. Like, there's a storm outside, and it's cold.
An approaching sprite
All I want to do is, like, get a blanket and wrap myself up in it.
bot. The music grew louder as the radio drew near, the tinny quality of the music more than noticeable through the white noise of the rain. A burst of static killed the music. The sprite bot went silent.
"Hey, Watcher."
"Hey, Little Pip. Been a while, and I can tell you've been busy."
I
I
forgot he
laughed
even was a
ruefully as
thing.
I thought of just how much I'd been through since I'd last spoken to Spike.
"So, how are things at your house?"
I asked, an itch of paranoia preventing me from referencing the cave more directly.
"Are the, unwanted house guests giving you any more trouble?"
Actually, they've been really quiet recently. I don't know if they're
That's
preoccupied or
dangerous.
just avoiding the place. Changing topics. You haven't by any chance found any others, have you? Wow. This conversation was awkward.
"No, not yet, but I'm looking."
Thanks. We were either dancing around something.
I'm still pissed about this whole thing about Spike choosing the element bearers. That's not how it should work. That probably isn't how it works. Man. This whole system, it's like, I can tell what it is. It's trying, this may not have been your original intent, like you really just decided, like maybe you bought into the idea that like Celestia had the grand plan and chose all the bearers, when the latest episode shows that's not how, okay, not the latest episode, but the recent episode show that is not what Celestia did. She did not choose those ponies. It was all fucking happenstance. It's, in this case, what I see Spike trying to do with choosing the element bearers for the Wasteland is trying to control something that doesn't need to be controlled. It's trying to, I don't know, it kind of seems like they're magical artifacts, so you have to assume that in this case, maybe there'll be a case of some people just coming together, like being naturally drawn to it if they could get to it. You know? Because that's how magic seems to fucking work in almost every work of fiction, is that the person who's needed finds the doohickey if he can get to it. That's how it is in MLP. That's how it is in fucking Lord of the Rings. That's how it fucking is all the time. Also, you have to also consider that maybe they all might have the same bearer. I mean, what happens when you get a pony that has all the traits? Do they all like come towards them forming individual pieces of equipment? Which would be fucking cool. I mean, how you... Lil Pip seems pretty awesome, genuine, knows what she wants to help people. She's been generous. I mean, here's the thing. She's not perfect, but you don't need to be perfect. Perfection is fleeting and impossible. Like, that's the thing I feel Spike's just come so far. He's just, I want the perfect bearers. When I've talked about this so much, but it's not, it shouldn't. It pisses me off. Like, Lil Pip has a lot of the qualities you would need to be a bearer of almost all of the elements, really. She's got friendship, not magic. Okay, the titling of that element is false. Friendship, she's got loyalty, she likes helping ponies out, she's got kindness, generosity. She technically qualifies for all of them. And the elements change shape for what they were once. They used to be these big rocks and gemstones. Then they became necklaces. Who's to say they can't form armor for one pony if they all have one bearer? That would be fucking awesome. That would be so cool. Just, the idea of someone choosing the element bearers, just, I don't like it.
Or we really had nothing to say to each other. I felt a resurgence of the pain caused by realizing that I was not the heroine that Spike had been looking for.
Fuck!
I was not one of the ponies who could make everything right. For a brief, sparkling moment, I had thought I knew my purpose, only to have that hope dashed against the cold rocks of an unforgiving reality. But then, the Gardens of Equestria wasn't going to make everything right with the wave of a hoof, in a rainbow of good intentions. Even after it purges the taint from the world, the mutated monsters that Taint has created will still be left behind. The alicorns, those things from the hospital, if any survived, bloat sprites, hellhounds. Even after it washes the tint from the air, the world will still be trapped under the depressing bleakness of the constant cloud cover. Even though it will rid the world of radiation, it will not exorcise the evil that has festered in the hearts of so many ponies.
Just, I like how she's talking about that shit, because I mentioned that. I mentioned that when this whole dumb plan was first talked about. I'm glad you're bringing it up. Also, I hate that shit. I just finished playing The Witcher 3. Main story. I haven't finished Blood and Wine yet. But when Ciri says, "You're not the hero," I screamed, fuck you. Just, oh, I hate that fucking trope. Okay, sometimes it works. Sometimes it works. Like, there's this, sort of story, kind of JRPG visual novel game I played called Lore and the Amazon Princess. You're not the main character in that game. Instead, you're the first party member. Like, it's kind of like a BioWare, it takes the BioWare trope of the party you gather along, except instead of being the main character, you're the first party member, and thus the most generic and boring. You know, when you, like Alistair from Dragon Age, or Carfo Nassi from Knights of the Old Republic, you're the first party member, and thus you are the most generic motherfucker. It works there because that's a parody. It was funny. I mean, yeah, the game had serious moments like genocide and child murder, but overall the idea was kind of a parody on the Western adventuring party in Western RPGs. By instead of being the main character, you were just the first party member. It worked. The idea of not being the hero worked there, but it's not a trope I like usually unless it's something like that, where it's mostly a parody or something. Like, Metal Gear, the third game, used that trope as a parody, where Sigint comes on the mission, and he's the fucking hero, while Big Boss is this bumbling idiot. It works there because it was funny. I don't like this trope when it's serious. It feels like the hero's just beating themselves up too much, or they're degrading their own accomplishments or their own importance. It feels like either the hero themselves or other people are trying to beat them down with words like, "Oh, you're not important. You're not the hero." I fucking hate it. Because even if it's not meant to be taken that way, I take it that way. I take it as either the hero going through depression, or like, you know, trying to think that they don't matter. It's, I don't like it. I just don't. It's a personal thing. You know,
Raiders and slavers will not disappear like the poisons of the soil. In short, there was so much more to do. And I didn't have to be destined to be something great, or important, or even vital. I just had to do something good for the Equestrian wasteland.
I think getting rid of those groups would be important and vital. Right?
And if I could help a little towards something as great as the Gardens of Equestria, then that was just icing on the cake. The pause had stretched to uncomfortable lengths.
I hate
Finally, Watcher
this
said,
mentality!
"Well, I guess I should be going then." "Wait," I said, suddenly having a question. "Can non-ponies ever be the bearers of the elements of harmony?"
There you go! Good question!
Maybe I just needed to widen my search. No, I don't think so.
Fuck! Yo, no! You don't think so? So you don't know. You've been excluding whole groups this whole time. Because you don't... This plan is dumb. This plan is fucking dumb. I kind of like it because of how dumb it is. But it's dumb. I'm mad. I'm mad. I gotta calm down.
I searched my mind for anything else to say. Finally,
like, when you're dealing with something this important, the salvation of the world, because this sounds like it would be a world spell, not just a region spell, but a world spell. That's what this sounds like. You cannot take chances like that. What if the next bearers were all yaks up in fucking Yakistan? You dumb That's true to Spike's character. Spike is a dumb dragon. So he's in character. I give him that. But Fuck! Again, we also get to the complication of what if they all just have the same bearer? Like, if someone could have all the elements, which I don't see why not. Like, you can be loyal and generous and kind. I don't mind if plans have holes in them. But the more important a plan is, the less holes I'm willing to accept. And this has a lot of fucking holes in it. I need